but more needs to be done. Among other things, he also spoke about the situation in Kano State, noting that the state is being closely monitored in collaboration with the government.
The Presidential Task Force shall continue to pursue the strategy of aggressive testing, detection, isolation, contact tracing, care, and management. Similarly, non-pharmaceutical measures will be enhanced. Over the last 4 weeks, we have made appreciable progress, but we are not yet out of the woods because a lot more is required to be done. Nigerians at all levels must take responsibility for our actions, adopt behavioral modification, ensure compliance with adversaries, and provide guidance to our followers and the youth. The situation in Kano is being addressed very closely by the Nigerian Center for Disease Control in strong partnership with the state government and guidance by the Federal Minister of Health, as well as support from our development partners. Let me register the appreciation of the Presidential Task Force to the media for ensuring that Nigerians are kept very well informed about actions of government and for creating the necessary awareness. Similarly, I want to thank our frontline health workers and administrators again and again who have been working to keep every Nigerian safe. The fight against COVID-19 is a fight for all of us. It is only when we unite that victory can be assured in the next phase of this fight.
The Minister of State for Health, Dr. Olorunimbe Mamora, on his part, says 2 additional labs have been activated in Sokoto and Zaria, bringing total numbers of labs to 15, while the federal government is deploying a high-power delegation to work with the Kano State government on strange deaths in the state.
The rising number of cases is of concern to all, but there is evidence of increasing in-country community transmission, which to a large extent is as a result of non-compliance with lockdown orders and other non-medical interventions. Another presumptive source of exposure to infections is the unauthorized treatment of highly contagious COVID-19 patients in private homes or unaccredited health facilities, with risk of infecting their families, other patients, visitors, and health workers.
That'll be all this hour on News Track. Join us again at 10. I am Amarachi Ubani.
Well, meet Farida Badoué, a Ghanaian software engineer developing tech solutions to promote financial inclusion. Diagnosed with cerebral palsy at the age of 1, she fights for success of people facing challenges of all kinds.
In Cross River State, face masking is on the rise. Under government initiatives to slow the spread of coronavirus, protective masks are being distributed, and fashion designers are picking up that thread, offering stylish face masks for free.
Breaking down gender barriers and building a new paradigm. In a traditionally male-dominated field, more and more women in the U.S. are choosing to work in construction. Africa 54 starts right now.
Hello and welcome to Africa 54. I'm Chamberlain Usoa, Channels Television here in Lagos. I'm joined by Vincent Makori at Voice of America in Washington.
Well, thanks. I'm Vincent Makori, filling in for Esther Ewart at our global headquarters in Washington, D.C. Happy to be with you again for another edition of Africa 54. We begin with the latest from Nigeria. Let's go back to Channels Television in Lagos.
The Cross River State government has started manufacturing face masks to be distributed to residents of the state as part of efforts to prevent the spread of coronavirus. Some fashion designers who have been out of business because of the pandemic are also taking a cue from that and have turned to sewing as much face masks as they can produce this period for free distribution. Channels Television's correspondent Thelma Energy compiled the report.
The COVID-19 pandemic has put many individuals, firms and companies out of business, but for fashion designers at the Cross River Garment Factory in Calabar, the Cross River State capital, there's sufficient work to keep busy throughout this period. Instead of creating clothing items, they're sewing face masks. And so, on each table, yards of material are either being cut, sewn, or ironed. The target is to produce millions of face masks that will be distributed to residents for free to serve as personal protective equipment following an executive order by the state governor that nobody be allowed in public places without wearing one.
No, they're saying that.
Cross River State is so prepared and committed to ensure that at the fullness of time, when this plague comes and goes, Cross River would have had a zero incident. Just to show you how prepared we are as a state in readiness to fight this virus.
Meanwhile, security personnel are on the streets to monitor compliance. It turns out that instructing people to wear face masks was not a hard sell for residents who also want to protect themselves from contracting the virus. Unlike the tailors at the government garment factory, those on their own are more affected by the economic impact of the pandemic, but notwithstanding, they're also making face masks for free distribution to residents.
Ever since the state governor introduced no mask, no movement in the state, I know it's hard for him to produce enough quantity for everyone, so I decided to join hands with the government. We've done a number of masks here. I distributed to my neighbors and the neighborhood here, all the people walking around here. Then so far, I asked my workers and some of the apprentices here to stay back from work so that the number of workers will be reduced in the shop, thereby preventing the spread of COVID-19.
It's collective efforts like this in the fight against COVID-19 that's making face masks made of colorful print fabric more widespread.
A lot of people can't afford this, no matter how little it is, as little as 100 naira. We have people who can't even afford, to buy sachet water, talk more of a nose mask. So this is why we thought we should do this as our way of giving back to the society alongside other items we distributed for free.
Indeed, those in the textile industry are rising to the occasion and using available resources to make these masks, but the pandemic has left them in a very difficult situation.
Today we hear the government say we should lock. Tomorrow we hear the government say we should open. So even people now are scared of coming to the market, not knowing whether the market is open or is closed. So that curd alone has made people not to come to the market to buy. Like a shop like this, there's not even one person. There's no way you come here, you won't see 1, 2, 3, 4 person. But now there's nobody here. So if there's nobody here, I believe this is how the whole market is feeling. So there's no sales.
While tailors and fashion designers are able to stay busy working at their machines and make some income this period, many other businesses are only able to afford skeletal operations and some entirely ground to a halt, leaving only essential service providers still in business. The economic impact of this pandemic is being felt across the board.
Let's get an assessment of the impact of coronavirus on African economies. For that, we're joined by Professor Emmanuel Nnadozie, the Executive Secretary of the African Capacity Building Foundation.